Let's make him feel at home. Woody Allen, here he is.
Thank you. Thank you. I was actually on television around 3 weeks ago now, and I mentioned that I was married, or had been married, and that I had had a bad marriage, is what I mentioned. I mentioned that I married one of the few white Muslims in New York, actually, and too young, and I wanted to elaborate on it. I had a bad marriage, and it was partially my fault. For the first year of marriage, I would say, I had what you would call a bad basic attitude toward my wife. I tended to place my wife underneath a pedestal all the time, and we used to argue and fight, and we finally decided that we would either take a vacation in Bermuda or get a divorce, one of the two things, and we discussed it very maturely, and we decided finally on the divorce, because we felt that we had a limited amount of money to spend on something, and that a vacation in Bermuda is over in 2 weeks, you know, but a divorce is something that you always have, you know, so it seemed good. And I saw myself as a bachelor again, you know, living in the village in a bachelor apartment with a wood-burning fireplace and a shaggy rug, you know, and on the wall some of those great Picassos by Van Gogh, and just great swinging airline hostesses running amok in the apartment, you know. And I got very excited, and I ran into my wife. She was in the next room at the time listening to Conelrad on the radio. And she was a very nervous woman. And I laid it right on the line with her. I came right to the point. I said, Quasimodo, I want a divorce. No mincing words. And she said, great, get the divorce. But it turns out in New York State, they have a very funny law that says you can't get a divorce unless you can prove adultery. And that's very strange because the Ten Commandments say, thou shalt not commit adultery. But New York State says you have to. For a while there, it's like a toss-up between the Bible and Rockefeller. You know, you don't know which way to go with it. So I figured one of us has got to commit adultery to get the divorce. I volunteered for it. Because I thought it would be a fairly simple matter for me in that I am a very sexy man. It so happens. Did you whistle at me? Not long ago, I sold the memoirs of my love life to Parker Brothers, and they're going to make it into a game. I'm thin but fun. Anyhow, when you're married and out of circulation, there's not that many women that you know that you could actually call. And the only woman I knew was my wife's best friend, Nancy. So I called up Nancy on the phone, and I asked her if she would have adultery with me. And she said, not even if it would help the space program. Which I took as a negative at the time. But I didn't give her there's a bar in my neighborhood, the Agnostic Bagel Shop, that traffics in professional-type women that earn their living through advanced fondling. There was at the bar a professional-type lady, really great, with great hair and mascara on the lips, you know, and really vicious. And I explained my situation to her, and she was very willing, but too expensive. And the plan was that if I could convince her I was still attending New York University, I qualified for a student discount. So anyhow, what finally happened was my wife committed adultery for me rather well, I felt. She's always been more mechanically inclined than I was. I guess I'm going to go now. I told you about my love life. I married a very immature woman, and it didn't work out. See if this is not immature to you. I would be home in the bathroom, taking a bath, and my wife would walk right in whenever she felt like and sink my boats. I sound bitter now. She has all the charm, I think, of a southern sheriff. Anyhow, I want to go because I said my thing, but I'm finished. You should see this while I have it out. Actually, I was checking my time. They allowed me 5 minutes. This is Speaks for Breeding, and it's mine. It's an antique gold heirloom. That's really spectacular. My grandfather, on his deathbed, sold me this watch.